Okay, let's just jump right in. The whole AI space, it's just so noisy, isn't it? I mean, everywhere you look, there are these promises of easy money, push button riches, you know the drill. So today, we're going to cut through all that static and take a hard look at a guide called AI Money Methods. And the whole claim here is that it offers a totally different way of doing things. And right off the bat, this is the core idea that the guide hits you with. It's a pretty bold statement, right? The argument is that the technology, the AI itself, isn't why people are failing to make money. It's not the tool's fault. The real problem, according to this, is the strategy, or, the total lack of one. And look, you know exactly what this looks like. I'm sure your social media feed is full of it. You've got the gurus with their rented Lambos, the fake screenshots of earnings that just look a little too perfect, and of course, the promise of some magic button that's supposed to print money. Let's be real. If any of that stuff actually worked, we'd all be rich by now. Okay, so if the AI isn't the problem, then what is? Why are so many people just spinning their wheels and getting nowhere? Well, according to this guide, it all comes down to a huge misunderstanding of how to actually use the tech. So this slide really breaks it down. On the left, you've got what the guide calls the failing method. This is what most people do, right? They just spit out some generic AI content, throw it online, and basically pray for sales. But on the right, you see the proposed method. And the huge difference is that it puts strategy first. It's all about finding those overlooked markets and using powerful psychological triggers before you even touch the AI. So where did all this stuff even come from? This code, so to speak? Well, the story behind it is actually pretty interesting. It's not from some big-name guru or a giant tech company. The source is, well, a lot more surprising than that. So get this, the story apparently starts in some random late-night marketing chat group. There's no big conference, no flashy product launch. It's just a bunch of people talking shop. And then this quiet 22-year-old kid just speaks up and decides to share what he's been doing. And here's the kicker. He wasn't pitching anything. There was no big sales pitch, no hey, buy my course. He wasn't posturing or trying to act like a guru. The story goes that he just quietly shared his screen and showed live income dashboards. Real, unfiltered proof that apparently just blew everyone else in the chat away. So the person who put this guide together was actually in that chat. They saw the whole thing go down and were so impressed they decided to document every single thing this kid was doing. They apparently tested the methods, saw they worked, and that whole process is what became the guide we're looking at right now, AI Money Methods. All right, so that's the origin story. It's a good story, for sure, but what's actually inside the thing? What are these secrets that are supposed to be so different from everything else out there? Let's pop the hood and take a look. Okay, so the guide is just filled with these really specific, actionable strategies. We're talking about things like hidden language markets, which sounds fascinating, a seasonal calendar sales hack for predictable income. They even talk about a specific publishing platform that pays double the royalties of the big guys, and this little $5 service that can apparently snowball into something huge. And to put some numbers on that, let's take the hidden language markets idea. The guide claims you can earn up to 4 times more with AI content in certain non-English markets. And the reason is actually super simple when you think about it. There's just way less competition. Almost everyone is fighting over the same saturated English-speaking audience. Now, here's an idea from the guide that might make you pause. It literally says that trying to be original is a mistake. I know it sounds wrong, right? But the argument is that trying to create something 100% new from scratch is a trap. Instead, it teaches you how to legally and ethically borrow inspiration from things that are already proven to sell. Don't reinvent the wheel, basically. And it's not all just high-level strategy either. It gets right down into the nitty-gritty. For example, it talks about this one dead simple design trick, a trick that can take that raw kind of meh output you get from an AI and in just a few minutes, make it look like a premium must-buy product. It's all about presentation, which is a total game changer. So what's the big idea that connects all of these different methods? What's the common thread here? Well, it all boils down to one core philosophy about how you should be thinking about AI. And they call it the lever approach. Think about it like this. AI isn't supposed to be a crutch that you lean on because you don't have a plan. It's a lever. It's a tool you use to amplify a smart strategy that you've already come up with. It's about combining that raw power of technology with real human insights into what people actually want. And it's really just a simple 2-step process. Step 1, That's all you. That's the human strategy part. You find an overlooked market, you identify a psychological trigger. Then, and only then, do you move to step 2. That's when you bring in the AI as a tool to execute that plan on a massive scale, a scale you could never ever achieve on your own. So after laying all of this out, the guide kind of takes a turn. It pivots and puts the ball right in your court. It's basically saying, okay, you have the information, now what? It frames this whole thing not as just something interesting to learn, but as a real decision point. And it's super clear about who this is really for. This is not for the person who wants to spend another 6 months stuck in research mode, just collecting more and more information. It's positioned for people who are just done with the theory and ready to actually pick a plan and do something. Then it hits you with this really direct, kind of hard-hitting question. It basically asks, if you just walk away from this and do nothing, what's going to be different in a month? Will you still be in the exact same spot, still making the same excuses, or are you actually ready for something to change? And really, that's the final choice it leaves you with. It all comes down to 2 paths. Path 1 is continuing that endless search for the mythical easy button that, let's be honest, probably doesn't exist. And path 2 is making the decision to just stop searching and finally execute on a real plan.